Okay, it's time for the final Wednesday conversation in this series. We've talked to Mike Hopkins. We've talked to Jen Cohen. Time now to talk to the head coach of Washington football, Jimmy Lake. Jimmy, ever since you took this job, we've had a few media sessions, but then the world changed and things got really crazy. You probably haven't really heard yourself introduced all that often as the head coach of Washington football. Are you getting used to that? And how's that feel?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's more the day-to-day, duties that I'm more immersed in right now. Obviously from all the recruiting stuff to getting, to continue the culture that we've built here the last 6 years and kind of put my spin on it. And so really I've been more immersed in that than really paying attention to actually the name, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's an exciting time for you. And, you've got this kind of odd situation that not many first-time head coaches have probably ever dealt with, and that's not knowing exactly when your first game is going to be. We hope it's September 5th at the greatest setting against the Michigan Wolverines. But this is a serious curveball that's been thrown your way in your first year as a head coach. What's it been like?
Yeah, you just really got to control what you can control. And I know in my lifetime, and really in a lot of people's lifetime that I know that are even older than me, this is, the most unprecedented thing that they've ever had to deal with. And so really, planet Earth is dealing with this right now. This isn't just, the University of Washington football team. I mean, there's a lot of people that have been hurt really, really badly by this pandemic, lost family members, friends. And so we're just rolling with it, and we're following the professionals' advice. And of course, we're very hopeful that we could get a vaccine for this, or hopefully hear some better news on how we're able to deal with this and get life back to normal.
Yeah. So there are new normals for everybody right now, and the current normal of a Jimmy Lake. We saw actually last year with the video that was made. What a day in the life of Chris Peterson looks like. Chris Mitchell did a fantastic job of putting that together. What does a day in the life of Jimmy Lake look like right now, trying to be a head coach during this pandemic?
Yeah, so we got a schedule put together where our mornings are all focused on football, and we, have laid out a schedule throughout the whole month of April, and now just laid out a schedule for May. Where our coaches are working on football-specific things from scheme-related to game planning. And then our whole afternoons are all recruiting. And I'm on FaceTime, I'm on Zoom, I'm on phone calls, I'm texting, or I'm watching film with our staff, watching recruits, freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and our whole afternoons are recruiting. And so that's what our days look like right now, Monday through Fridays, with a few team meetings intermixed in there. Also, our staff is meeting with our players via Zoom and reinstalling schemes, reinstalling techniques, keeping the football at the forefront of their brains. So that's what we're doing right now, and I feel good about where we're at. We're dealing with the circumstances, and we'll be ready when they let us get back to campus.
Yeah, you talk about drawing up plays, trying to create the scheme, what it is that you want Washington football to look like. You talk about schemes quite a bit in the interviews that you've given, your opening press conference. You really love the tactician side of football. Where do you think that comes from?
Well, yeah, it's a great question, Tony. I would guess it's really got me into football. Really got me into coaching. As a player way back when at Eastern Washington, I was always asking the questions to the coaches: why are we doing this? Why are we doing that? Why do we call it this? And I think that's one of the reasons why my coaching staff talked me into being a football coach, is they knew that I had a brain for it, I guess. And in the beginning, that's why I got into this thing, is I love the competitiveness of trying to stop people, but also just the whole concept of situational football, from offense, defense, special teams, when to call the right plays, what to expect if you've done your research, And it's what drives me. I loved my time in the NFL, which I know became what made me become even a better situational aware football coach. And I really want to, you know, relay that passion down to our staff and to our players. And I want us to be one of the smartest football teams on the field.
In some ways, it kind of feels like, because the mental side is one of the few things you can really focus on right now. You're not able to get people together to work physically together right now. Um, Considering that that is something that is so important to you in the culture that you want to build, there is ample time right now to work on the mental and the tactician part of the game.
No, you're exactly right. And that's what, hey, these are the circumstances we're being dealt right now. And I feel like we're taking full advantage. We're having some really good meetings, really talking about those type of situations. Again, reinstalling our schemes, making our players smarter. But then also on the recruiting side, I feel like there's a lot of facts that we have about our university and about what we've been able to do development wise with our players, uh, that these prospects can look at and just look at facts and go, wow, if I really just do my research right here and I'm not on campus getting wowed by certain, other elements. If I just look at the facts, then University of Washington looks like a pretty great place to be. And so in a lot of ways right now, where this has been I say a good time, and we've taken advantage of these obviously unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah. One of the things that I know is big in the recruiting game right now is social media. And a lot of kids 14 to 18 years old are on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or whatever else is out there right now. And they're paying attention. And it does seem that there has been a little bit of a change to the feel of what Washington's doing from a social media perspective. It seems like the game has been upped. It seems like the storytelling has been increased on there. How vital do you see the social media aspect being in the recruiting process right now?
Yeah, it's always been vital, but you're exactly right. I think everybody is either on their phone or watching Netflix or something at this, as everyone's quarantined in their house. And for sure, our creative department have been rock stars. They are very creative, talented people. And way back when, I remember getting them all together. I'm like, hey, I'm going to lean on your guys' strengths. You guys are the ones that are creative and come up with all this cool stuff. Uh, let's go. You guys hash it out and let's see what we want to do here. And of course, I gave them my, little 2 cents here or there, but just let those guys go and let them, be them creative selves. And I think they've done a powerful job of showing what it would be to be a student athlete here at the University of Washington, and also showing, showing everybody else what it's like to be in Husky Stadium. What's it like to be, coached by our staff. And I'm really proud of that group. And guess what? It's not over. You're going to see a lot more fun stuff here coming up.
Well, I've got two personal favorites that I've seen on social media so far. Number one has been kind of the reveal for the team GPA and the individual GPA. Those videos have been really, really cool. Take me into what that's like. And again, you talk about building your own culture. Just the importance on the student part of the student athlete at the UW.
Yeah, what we're really trying to make a push for to show the all of our prospects what an amazing university academically the University of Washington is. And for whatever reason, when we first start recruiting an individual, they don't think of the University of Washington in such a high regard. And so we're trying to show these prospects we are ranked number 10 in the world as a university academically. And then we truly believe the equal balance of the student and the athlete. And that's why we want to show that experience of us celebrating our players getting, a 3.8 GPA, or the linebacker core getting an overall of 3.2, and our whole team getting an over a 3.0. And so we truly celebrate those accomplishments just as we would celebrate winning the Pac-12 championship.
It's so cool to see the players bought into it too, because I think it's one thing for the staff to recognize it, but then for the players to jump up and down and get excited and celebrate their teammates' accomplishment, not just their own, but their teammates' accomplishment in the classroom, that's a special thing to see.
Yeah, no, it really is. And the probably the spin on it that maybe you guys don't see on the social media piece is we make it a competition. And so we actually a unit who had the lowest GPA up to the highest GPA. We all got a fairly high GPA, but all learn who's in 10th place and who was in first place. I think I'm pretty sure our quarterbacks got first place this last quarter, so they're pretty proud of themselves.
Yeah, well, I know how you do anything is how you do everything, and it's not just quality, but also adding that competitive element into it. I know Coach Pete had it with the Husky Olympics. Trying to compete in everything that you do helps you compete on the football field. I think the other social media thing I saw that was a personal favorite of mine was when Eddie Ulafoscio was awarded a scholarship. That was a pretty special moment. Can you take me through what that was like for you as the head coach?
Yeah, no, that was a special moment, and nobody knew I was going to do that. Nobody on staff, obviously none of the players, none of the creative team. No one knew. So I think just the true element of surprise by everybody was really really cool to see. But obviously the coolest part of it was rewarding an individual that truly earned that scholarship. Since the day he set foot on campus, all he did was just work hard and in the classroom for football, and then obviously in the classroom up on campus for his academics, and worked his way into being a starter, a contributor on special teams. And there wasn't anybody more deserving of scholarship than Eddie.
Yeah, he's got such a cool story, and we could talk for 30 minutes just about him alone. But really excited to see him, not only as a scholarship player, but to get back out there and continue to contribute for the rest of his Husky football career. All right, let's talk a little bit about football. And we've heard you talk about so many of these players over the years on the defensive side because that's where you've been. Now, as a head coach, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on the offense, and we'll start with John Donovan, your new offensive coordinator. He's coming in with an NFL background and has, again, had these real tough challenges in trying to draw up an offense and bring together an offense under these difficult circumstances. How has John responded to these challenges that we're living under so far?
Yeah, the fortunate thing was we had a really good 3 months, almost 3 months from January to the middle of March to implement really the basics of the offense, how to huddle up, cadence, some of our just basic plays that we run from game to game. So that was very fortunate that our guys had a big head start there. But in the meantime, it's an all mental. It's more film review. You know, you don't have to meet with these guys, and now we're getting more time via Zoom to meet with these guys. And so, in a lot of the ways, even though we're not actually able to go out there and practice, Coach Donovan and the rest of our offensive staff have had some very thorough meetings going over the details of all of our plays and how they're going to be run. And so, I'm always going to look at this thing, on the positive side. And I think mentally right now we're getting a huge head start. Our guys were just juiced and ready to go for spring football. And I know they're going to be even more energized when we all get back here. They can't wait to come back in this building and start to meet and get out there and practice. And so, mentally right now we're getting our edge just right. And they're all going to be excited to get out there and get this thing going.
What are you hearing about the fall and all of this stuff? I know most of it cannot be predicted at this point because the whole world, all of life, we're just taking it a day and a week at a time right now. But what are you hearing as far as what your options are for trying to make up what was missed in the spring and all those sort of things?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's probably another part of my weekly Coach Lake experience is I have a weekly Pac-12 meeting. And we've just been going through a number of scenarios, again, to Tone, just like you just said, day by day, it seems like things change. But we've gone through models where in a perfect world and everything's back to normal, if we're able to come back in the middle of June, then we've also gone to, okay, this thing is still going on, and there's still some negative things happening around the country, around the world, and maybe it's not until late July. So we're just going through a whole bunch of different scenarios of having 4 weeks to prepare for the season, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, and I mean, even to in a scenario where possibly it's a shortened season. I mean, we're kind of going through everything right now and trying to prepare for any scenario that hits us. I think at this point we'll just be happy just getting back to normal and getting any games in at this point.
Yeah. Going back to the offense and talking about John Donovan and his role and what he's trying to do in bringing this offense together, one of his biggest challenges is also having that responsibility of quarterback coach. And you got 3 guys in this competition who are all very young and don't have a lot of college football experience. What have you seen from those 3 in kind of the personality side, the mental side, and how is all of that going? Because obviously that's kind of what we're limited to right now.
Yeah. So again, those first 2.5 months, you saw the 2 guys that were on the roster. I mean, they are going up and by my office, going to Coach Donovan's office, and meeting with him on a regular basis on their own, and a huge jump start on terminology, formations, snap count, um, you know, pass concepts, run concepts, the whole deal. So they're just energized. They're energized and they're excited and very enthusiastic about learning something new, and also learning a bunch of pro concepts that I know is going to be able to help them, in the eventual, it's their turn to go to the next level. And so they're extremely excited about all of that. And I know now they're just chomping at the bit because they weren't able to get out there and go execute it during, our April spring football, calendar. But I think that's just going to make their hunger and fire, even more so.
Are these guys able to go out and throw the football with some people they live with, or some trusted advisors that they've worked out with in their career? Can they go to high school fields and throw? Can they go to their backyard and throw? What are some of the things quarterbacks can do to prepare themselves right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were telling them to obviously follow the rules of wherever they are at, and mostly on the whole, well, basically the whole country is stay at home, stay healthy, and so. But I know those guys. I'm sure they're sitting in the backyard or throwing it around or doing some other things that maybe going to a field that maybe it's closed and jumping a fence. I haven't heard that, but I'm guessing. I know I've seen other people do that, so. I know they're trying to find a way to at least spin the ball a little bit and hit a target somewhere. But obviously, we're not telling them to do that. They got to do that on their own.
The running game. Excited to see how this evolves this season and beyond. I think a lot of people were excited by watching a freshman in Richard Newton score a touchdown on his very first touch of his career. That was pretty cool. His first reception of his career was a touchdown, and then he throws a touchdown as well. I think that Richard Newton is a guy that excited a lot of people, even in the way I think Damon Heward was relating his run against Stanford to Earl Campbell, the way his jersey was tearing away, and just the kind of back who is not at all afraid of contact. He almost embraces it and he loves it.
Yeah, no, he had a very exciting, first year there. I'm really excited about that whole running back room. I think we had some talented players in that room, some guys coming in. That's a good thing, really, about our offense. We're going to be young at quarterback. Is they are going to have a lot of talent around in the O-line, in the wide receiver room, in the tight end room, and the running back room to really balance out. And as those guys gain some experience, they need to lean on Rich Newtons and Kamari Pleasants and Sean McGrew and on and on, Cam Davis. I mean, that's a deep room with a lot of talent. And so, and you match it up with Kate Ott and Devin Culp and an old line with Jackson Kirkland and Luke Wattenberg. I mean, there's a list of names that have played some football around here for us. And so I'm really excited about that side of the ball.
Let's talk a little bit about the offensive line that they'll be running behind, because you do lose 3 guys that have been around here for a long time, and Trey Adams and Jared Hilbers and of course Nick Harris, who we're all excited to see as a Cleveland Brown now. Tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on the pieces that you have to work with, and do you anticipate some shuffling going around on the line? Because we've seen that over the last few years. Nick Harris didn't start at center, but now he's drafted as an NFL center.
Hmm. Yeah, first of all, Scott Huff, our offensive line coach, has done an unbelievable job of recruiting his position. We've had some guys redshirt, learn behind, Trey Adams and Nick Harris's and the Hilbers, and get bigger, and they're getting stronger. And now it's those guys' turn to step up and go be the starter. And some of them have played in a limited role. Some of them have played obviously more an expanded role, like Jackson and Wattenberg. Um, but I think it's a group, again, that's hungry, that's nasty, that's tough. They've seen players in front of them like Caleb McGarry, guys that have done it the right way. And the future is bright in our offensive line.
I know there's two things when I think of offensive linemen. They are strong, and those guys can eat. and so right now they're going through a lot of these workouts on their own, and they're kind of going through this diet thing on their own. And I know that there are dietitians that are advising them on the best ways to put on the weight in a good way to build that strength. What are some of the things that our offensive linemen are working with? Who are they working with in order to try to get stronger, stay as healthy as possible, and do all those things the right way right now?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we would want all those guys here to put them through our workout program and with Coach Saha and his whole crew. But at this point, really the whole team is just dealing with the workouts that we send out just like we normally would in an off time, and they would just follow it as best they can. And normally we would be feeding them a bunch of meals here with our fuel station and our catered in meals, and now a lot of these guys are in their home cooked meals at home. But Kyle Salmons, who's also our part of our strength and conditioning staff, and he deals with our nutrition and supplements. I know he's in constant communication with those guys and educating them on what they should be eating and what they should not be eating. Making sure they're eating their proteins and not eating the Pop-Tarts and the French toast and things like that.
Pop-Tarts, not breakfast of champions, not necessarily delicious though.
Tastes so good though.
Yeah, I
Yes.
know.
I like them toasted. I don't know about you.
Let's talk wide receivers. This is a really interesting group. We saw some young guys step up and play really well last year. Thinking of like Jordan Chin and Terrell Bynum, and certainly we saw a true freshman in Puka Nakua who was exciting at times. You got some veterans that didn't get the chance, like Ty Jones, who we'll see. Where he is and everything else. And then you got some incoming true freshmen that I think are highly recruited, and a lot of people are excited to see. Take me through your wide receiver room, and obviously that's a huge part of having success in the passing game.
Yeah, it really is. And you just mentioned some guys that I know are going to be huge contributors to that room. I was really pleased with that unit this first third of this year when we were all together, January to mid-March. They were competing their tails off in the weight room and all the running stuff that we were having them do. We set up a lot of competitions, and the wide receivers ended up winning a lot of those competitions in the weight room, which I was really pleased with. We talked about the mentality. It's got to change. We just got to up our mentality, our edge, our toughness in that room specifically. And I think those guys, they took that challenge and they definitely raised their game a little bit. Now we still got to go out there and do it, and those guys know that. But I'm excited with the guys coming back. I'm excited about their mentality that they've brought so far in 2020. And just like you mentioned, I'm really excited about that we're able to bring in Junior Adams, our coach. It's a phenomenal job here, adding talent to that room. And I know also chomping at the bit to come here and learn the offense and be part of something special this year.
The tight ends have always been a big part of a Chris Peterson offense. A lot of two tight end in the past. And we saw, guys like Kate Otten really, step up, and we're excited to see what he has in the future. Also, I'm thinking of a guy like Jacob Kaiser, who was a little bit injury riddled this past year, didn't get a chance to play very much, and we saw some unexpected people step up, like a Jack Westover, who I thought really impressed at times last season. What sort of role do you see the tight end playing in the future of the Washington offense, and who are some of the people that you're looking forward to getting involved there?
Yeah, they're going to play a big role, and a lot of people over these last few years have mimicked our offense, and you can actually see other teams in our conference trying to be more 12 personnel. At times 13 personnel, one running back, three tight ends, and we've always been that. We'll continue to be that with different variations. If you see the Final Four in the NFL this last year, they're also a tight end oriented offense. Even the two teams that were in the Super Bowl, and so I just really think it causes defenses issues. I know that firsthand, and so again, I wanted to make sure we had an offense that was going to cause defense to be very hard to game plan against. That's going to be balanced. That can just mow you over in the run game, but at the same time, get some play action and get some mismatches going in the pass game. And the tight ends are a big part of that. And I am very excited about the guys that are returning, but also, again, the guys that we signed are also some guys that already have the measurables that could come in as soon as they learn the system and are able to get out there and practices. I think they could also accelerate the depth chart and play for us as true freshmen.
Obviously, you've spent most of the past decade being a defensive specialist, talking a little bit of defense. We're going to really miss some of the guys like Miles Bryant and Benning Potawai. The guys that we lose from last year were really, really big contributors, but there aren't many losses from last year. There's a lot of guys that are back. And I think whenever you have a high number of returning starters on one side of the ball, I think fans get really excited about that side of the ball.
Yeah, well, so do we. It's even though those guys that you just mentioned, we're really going to miss their leadership and their playmaking abilities. And I'm looking forward to watch those guys, go after their dream in the NFL. They landed at a couple of teams, but yes, we have a very veteran group returning. Schematically, we will remain the same with adding wrinkles like we do every single year to give us an edge. So offense can't just go, okay, I know they're going to do this. We're always going to be staying on cutting edge and changing little stuff here and there. But we have a lot of smart veteran players like Elijah Molden, Levi Onwuzurike, Josiah Bronson. I could go on and on. Keith Taylor. We're really excited about those guys that are coming back and the guys that we signed that are also guys that could play. And so there's going to be a lot of competition at all three levels. You combine that with a scheme that's remained the same over the last 6.5 years. There's a lot of, mental banked reps that they can lean back on. And we can really take this defense to the next level in 2020.
Coach, I don't know about you, but growing up, when I would look at teams out there that just appealed to me, teams that I really liked, they were teams that had great defenses. There's something about a team that just is tough on that side of the ball, and they just won't let the other team score. Something about that has always really kind of appealed to me. Do you feel that way? Do you want to have a football program that part of its brand is just being elite on the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I knew I liked you, Tony. You like defense. I love it. Yes, no question. The great teams that I remember watching, back when I was in middle school, high school, were those just tough, nasty defenses that, fought for every inch of blade on the football field. And they fought to get the ball back and try to score and get turnovers for the offense. And that's what we pride ourselves on. Our job around here is to score or get the ball back. If our defense doesn't score, we're trying to secure the ball back for our offense so they can score. And every member of our defense knows that that's what our job is around here. And it's a mentality that's been taught, since way back in 2014, and will continue to be taught, that we have to play sound, tough, physical defense around here.
One topic I've never had the chance to talk to you about is special teams. Interested to hear your philosophy on special teams. I know some guys, some head coaches, they want to put all starters out there. They just want like the best athletes that they have on the team to be out there on the field. Others, they want to really spend a lot of practice time specializing in being a special teams player. Take me through some of your philosophy on how you want to handle special teams and that kind of brand of football.
Yeah, special teams is huge, and half the phases are really extension of our defense. When you're thinking of kickoff coverage team, and when you're thinking of punt team, creating field position and going to pin them down, and so those are extensions of our defense, and it's got the same mentality. And then obviously the other side is up the offense and in the return game of getting set up field position. Special teams are a huge part of what we do around here. The best players will play on special teams. Our best players have always played on special teams. And we always tell our guys all the time, one of the first questions NFL scouts ask us about are certain prospects when they get to that, junior or senior year. What special teams do we play? How many special teams does he play on? It's so critical that the best league in the world, that's their first question that they ask about our guys. And it's the same thing that we bring our guys in here and they're recruited a wide receiver or a corner or a linebacker or whatever it is. As soon as they get here, we go, hey, guess what? We know we recruited you as a wide receiver, but the first thing you're gonna have to do for our team is sacrifice yourself on special teams, because this is how you're gonna earn your stripes around here. And we've really built that mentality around here that it's competitive to try to even get on the depth back up, work your way up to be a starter. And our guys know how important special teams are.
I've seen some guys or some positions on special teams be split over the last few years, with Joel Whitford and Race Porter sharing some time at punter. The place kicking duties have been different than kickoff duties last year. Is it going to continue to be, a thing where we're going to look for the real hyper specialized, and go with, whoever has the most to offer with whatever is on the table?
I think that's all going to be situational based. What we feel is an advantage from game to game, but also just from the competition during practice. Who's making the kicks, we chart these things, from a day-to-day basis. And so a lot of those things will be decided, during practice. But also there'll be some special situations during games where we want to give a guy a shot because he's really talented at this. He may be more talented than the other guy at a certain technique and skill. And so you'll continue to see those things evolve throughout the year. But our end game is we want to do what we think is best for our football team to win football games.
Let's talk about leadership, and you learned quite a bit about leadership, I'm sure, from Coach Pete and from all the other great coaches that you were around in your career. But what have you learned about yourself as far as trying to lead through this COVID crisis and through some of these challenges? What have you learned about leadership from this experience?
Yeah, I guess I haven't really stopped to really reflect on that yet, but I guess what I could cover really during this pandemic is I know people just want information, and they want to know what's going on and what our schedule looks like. And I think so far we've been able to inform, especially the families of our players, of course, our coaching staff, our whole staff, from the operations to recruiting. We have, Rob Digger, our head athletic trainer, that's done a phenomenal job of informing us of what we should be doing to make sure we protect ourselves and stay healthy. And so I guess really reflecting on it right now, as you ask me, is just really keeping our team informed, keeping them informed of what is going on. So there's not a mystery. And and then letting them know that, hey, here's where we're headed. We're not going to use this as an excuse. Uh, we're going to keep moving ahead. We're going to keep teaching our schemes. We're going to keep teaching our techniques. And then as a staff, we're going to keep recruiting. We're recruiting even harder now that we have all this time on our hands. And I really think that's the message that I've sent throughout our program is there's no excuses, there's no explanations. When we're back, we need to be ready to roll, ready to start practicing and hit the ground running.
You mentioned uh, early on when we had this conversation about one of the silver linings being might have been before we started recording, but just the family time that's available. And family time is relationship building time with those people who are closest to you, but you also have a chance to build deeper relationships with your football family during this time. And I wonder, you've got these incoming freshmen, you've got maybe some players who haven't reported to you on a side of the ball before. Do you see this as a time that you've been able to build really quality relationships with those people inside and close to the program?
Yeah. So first, I'll talk about family for sure. I mean, I think that is a silver lining in all of this. I think we've all been able to spend more family time. I know I've watched, more movies and more board games and just really like woke up and have had breakfast at the house and see my kids getting ready for their online school stuff. I think this is the most consecutive days in a row I've ever spent at my house, like in the morning. Usually I'm out the door at 5:30 in the morning, headed to the office. And so, there's definitely a silver lining in all this. Gone for a lot more walks with my wife than I ever have. And so, that I think that's a positive part of all this. And then yes, to the team, I think it's really what I really believe is, which I talked about with a lot of our guys. I called every single one of them one-on-one and had a really good conversation to catch up with all of them. And the common theme was how grateful they all will be when we get back to some form of normalcy. They're not going to dread having a meeting in a classroom. They're not going to dread going out to practice, which I don't think they do. But now they're just going to be like, what time is our meeting? I can't wait to get there.
Jimmy Lake, head football coach of the Washington Huskies. Thanks very much for the time. Good to catch up with you, and can't wait for the chance to see you in person sometime.
Thanks, Tony, and go Dogs.